Hey everybody, Angel Arts here, and this is a video that I've been wanting to make for quite some time now. Those of you specifically who are interested in either tabletop role-playing games, for example, D&D is a classic example, Pathfinder, the White Wolf series, any one of you who are either interested in tabletop RPGs and or Mass Effect, the BioWare series Mass Effect, this is a video for you. So many of you probably knew that I have been running a Dragon Age RPG campaign since the beginning of this past summer. Many of my viewers have been asking me if it'd be possible for me to run another campaign and invite some of you viewers out there to participate. And the answer is yes, absolutely. I would love. I had so much fun playing with Shali and Reclusiarch and Lucky Jack 20 and Pixel Prattle XP. But I did want to eventually open it up to the public, and so that's what I'm doing now. The only thing is, instead of running another Dragon Age RPG campaign, I'm instead going to be running a tabletop Mass Effect campaign. I think there are two main ones that people mainly go to because there is actually no official tabletop RPG game for Mass Effect yet. But I wanted to use the D6 system one just because it seemed to have a lot more options, a lot more flexibility, a lot more races, things like that, and it would give you guys, if you wanted to participate, more of a chance to build the kind of character that you would like to build, more freedom to do so. So for those of you who are interested in participating in this, there are a bunch of guidelines that you need to take in consideration. The first thing that you need to make sure that you understand is that this campaign requires a commitment. This is not a one-shot, campaign that'll only last 2, 3, 4 sessions. This is a campaign that will probably last about 20 sessions or so, depending on whatever we come up with the story. So once, only throw your hat into the ring if you are really serious about committing to this campaign. The idea is we'll probably meet once every other week, give or take. At minimum once every other week. It'd be great if we could meet more often, but I'll leave that as an at minimum. Given that, I'm anticipating that the campaign will probably last 8 months. Again, that's just a ballpark figure. The Dragon Age RPG campaign ended up lasting about 9 months. So I'm thinking this one will probably be roughly the same thing as well. Again, that length of time would fluctuate depending on how often we play and how long each session is. So obviously if we don't end up meeting every other week all the time, that time is going to grow larger. Or if we don't meet for a sizable amount of time. I think on average my sessions tend to be roughly 4 hours long, 4 hours long each week. If we end up having to have sessions that run shorter than that, then again, it's going to be longer. So please only audition if you really honestly believe that you can commit to this until the very end. Because my campaigns are so story driven, I need all the characters until the very end. I absolutely have to have them all until the very end. The second thing you need to consider is, as I said, we're planning on playing probably once every other week, maybe more often. Saturdays or Sundays during the day are the best times for me because that allows myself and everybody else to have their Saturday evenings free and Sunday evenings free if you tend to want to do things on Sunday or just relax just before you go back to work on Monday. I could also play Friday evenings. That's also an option too. Keeping in mind that my time zone is Eastern time. So obviously, those of you who are interested in playing and are farther away from my time zone, keep that in mind, because scheduling can get very tricky the more broad everybody's time zones become. It is best if you have a flexible schedule, either flexible or predictable schedule. For example, if you are in a job situation where your boss or your manager can call you to come into work the day before or the day of, they just say, oh, we need you to work today, that can be a little bit of a challenge. Or if you have a job that doesn't have a set schedule, like sometimes you're working on Fridays, sometimes you're working on Saturdays, sometimes you're working on Sundays, it can be really challenging and sometimes frustrating to schedule a campaign, and you just have to be aware of that. So obviously we'll try to make as many accommodations as possible, but please understand that consistency and flexibility are things that I greatly would prefer having in any given player. Please be at least 18 years of age. Please be aware that my campaigns are extremely story-driven. If you want to get an idea of what my campaigns are like, the Dragon Age RPG campaign that I have on my YouTube channel right now is the perfect way for you to get an idea of whether or not my DMing style and my story style works for you. There have been many sessions, 4-hour-long sessions, where zero combat has occurred, and it's all role-playing. If you don't think that you would enjoy that, if you believe that that would be a problem for you, if you think that you would get bored or annoyed by that, I am probably not the DM for you, and this is probably not the campaign for you. You know, I have a very specific style, and I'm trying to figure out which players out there are compatible with me so that I am able to provide you with the things that you may be interested in. I am requiring for you guys to have a webcam and a reliable Ethernet connection. Because my campaigns are so story-driven, I'm insisting that you guys are able to have that connection, that facial expression connection, which I think adds so much to role-playing, especially since we're not together in a room physically. I think that the experience would be very muted and not as satisfying if everybody was not available through webcam and was able to communicate to each other through webcam. And then the last thing is, don't be a jerk face. You know, be respectful, and you know, have a certain level of maturity and respect. It basically is what I'm looking for. So now that you have heard all of the guidelines, all the rules, and if you are okay with all of that, if you feel that you fit the bill and you feel that you satisfactorily meet all of those requirements, here are the instructions on how to audition for a spot in the next campaign. I want you to come up with a character concept. If you want, you most definitely are encouraged to peruse through the guide. You don't have to necessarily, but it might help you in terms of just figuring out the rules and figuring out what kind of things you can do in order to build your character. I'll put the link again down at the bottom. Come up with some character concept which includes your race, your class/occupation, you know, something along those lines, your background, and make me a 5-minute YouTube video introducing yourself as a person, introducing yourself as a player, and talking about your character concept. I haven't really decided yet when in the Mass Effect timeline this story is going to take place. Again, the challenge for me as a DM is I wait till I get all of the character concepts from the players first, and then I design a story around that. I design a story around people's backgrounds and their character concepts, and it's not the other way around. It's not instead of the DM making a story and he's asking all the players to conform to the story, I ask the players to create their characters, and I conform the story to the characters. I conform my story to the players, not the other way around. That's just how I operate, and that's just how I feel it allows the players themselves to have ownership towards the story. And again, I try my very best to make sure that things in your background matter. And the only way I can do that is if I can get everyone's backgrounds first, and from then I can determine the story, and from there I can determine where in the timeline the story will fit, if that makes sense. So you might not be able to get super specific on your character necessarily based on historical events, but you know, you just do the best you can, and you know, pitch an idea. This is not set in stone. Just because you're providing me with a character concept doesn't mean that that is exactly the character you're going to play. I'm just trying to get an idea of your creativity, how you present yourself, get an idea of you as a person, so I can try to start predicting how you might mesh with other players, mesh with the other candidates. So just keep in mind that if I don't select you, it's not because I don't like you. It's certainly nothing personal. It's not necessarily because I don't like you. It's I have to not only take in consideration if you are a good candidate by yourself. More importantly, I have to make sure that I am able to make sure that you are also a good candidate with the rest of the group as a whole. I have to make sure that you mesh well with the rest of the group. So those are the kinds of things that I'm looking for. I will need everybody's auditions in by the end of this month, by January 31st. Depending on how many submissions I get, if I end up with a large number of Mass Effect RPG submissions, the selection process may go to a second round, and that second round would entail you and I having a brief, probably 10-15 minute long one-on-one interview where I will be interviewing both out of character and in character. And then all of those like sessions will most likely be posted on YouTube, and then you, all the viewers at home, can help to not necessarily vote, but provide feedback on which of these players you want to see in my next campaign. Which players / characters intrigues you, which ones that interests you, that you would like to see in my game. Again, that'll only happen if I get numerous submissions and I need help deciding on which players to select, and I will do that. During the month of February is when the final selection process will be taking place, and I'll start asking for everybody's backgrounds. We'll start getting things together with the characters, and then most likely in March. In March is probably when the campaign is going to begin. That means that if we start in March, the campaign will most likely not end until like the November-December area. So pretty much this is going to be a year 2015 commitment. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them as quickly as possible. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about you guys and your characters, and yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be a great adventure. So good luck to all of you who are going to submit, and until next time, love yourselves and love each other.